Introducing Shop, Click, and Pick, the simplest way to support those doing good. We understand that shopping is a necessity, but with a slight adjustment, you can make a big difference. Here's how it works. Visit communitypayitforward.us and navigate to the Find Your Partners tab. Discover our verified giving partners, trusted allies ready to meet your needs. Shop with any partner that resonates with you. Click a picture of your receipt or invoice. Pick the mission partner you wish to support and use their QR code to send the receipt to us. Then, all you have to do is sit back and enjoy your purchase, knowing you've made a meaningful change for someone in need. Community Pay It Forward amplifies your business's impact by sharing your story with those who require your services, rallying support for those who need us all. Because no one needs to go it alone. When we all come together.
Hey everybody, how's it going today? It's Zach and Patrick. We're back here. Another Monday, another show. And guess what? We did it right this time, almost. Not quite, I still kind of mess things up, but hey, not near as bad as last week. So I think at least I got the right day right, so that's good news. Welcome to Footprints Forward, where our mission is to help people through difficult situations and especially when it comes to mental health and suicide ideation, make sure that we're trying to put out there any and every option other than taking your life. We know that one of the things that is very, very important for good mental health, Patrick, that is your physical well-being, which if you don't feel good, you don't feel good, right?
Yeah.
So, and you introduced us to our guest today, and I appreciate that. I really do appreciate that. But can you start off by giving us your introduction, please?
All right, I'm Patrick Myers, founder of Call Edge Global, and what we do is basically a networking company where we are looking to connect with different ministries and nonprofits, so we can support each other with our money, resources, and personnel, also innovations and ideas. And so, I have my card up here to get a little bit more information about that. You can check out my card, my Popple, and it'll give you a little bit more detailed thing about that. Also, what I do, I have another thing called Consuming Fire Media, where I have a couple of different podcasts that we do, a men's podcast, a couples podcast, and then I share this podcast also for mental health and suicide prevention. We got two more getting ready to come out, and that would be one for people to tell their stories about, especially locally here in White House, or actually, I really want to have it to be a global podcast where anybody from anywhere in the world can tell about the stories about how God carried them through, and that'll be called Voices in the Fire. And then we will have the locals, and that's one for the local businesses to tell just free advertising space where they'll be able to come on for about 15 to 20 minutes and talk about how they start their business and how they got to where they're going. The next thing that I do also is called the Youth Initiative, and that's part of another piece of a College Global. And the Youth Initiative is where we provide youth with the tools and ability, the tools and the resources from the community for them to be able to figure out what it is that they want to do to impact their community right now between the ages of 16 through 21. And what we do is just say, hey, what is it that you think that you can do? What is it that how you think you can help? And then let them innovate the ideas where they'll start from beginning to end, where they'll start with number one, thinking about the idea, then casting a vision about the idea, then doing a mind map about the idea, then actually writing up a plan, then going to the community with the what we call is the ABCD, asset-based community development, and where you actually go to the community understanding that money, sometimes you need money, right? But the greatest assets that you could ever have in this world are the people around you and their ideas and their innovations. And so capitalizing on that and using that for them to figure out how to do it, the things that they want to do right now to have true impact in the world right now. Because youth is a very slept on resource for the now. They're living in the now. A lot of us older and stuff like that, we don't understand technology. We don't understand these different things. But that's what the youth understand. And so they can help us with guidance from the older, impacting the younger. You know, you can do so much and change so much just getting behind the youth. And so that's what the Youth Initiative is. And then also I have Walking Palms Travel Agency. So if you need to go somewhere and do anything, you know, you can travel with Walking Palms Travel Agency. That's it.
Well, and I wanted to say something real quick about the Youth Initiative, because you just said something that really makes a lot of sense to me. And it's something that is, I don't want to sound like the old guy, but I am the old guy, so I'm going to sound like the old guy. We do a disservice to these kids quite often when we sit there and we go in there and you know, talking about, oh, what's the point of doing anything? Everything's all gone to hell in a handbasket, yada, yada, yada. Stop. No, you're talking to the kids today who can actually make a change. If you're just going to go and sit in your little corner and stew about things, that's fine. But let's not convince kids or try to tell kids that, you know what, we don't have a chance. Because yes, we do. We need good leaders. If anything is being proved right now, we need good leaders. Let them learn. We all had to learn our lessons, every single one of us. Let them learn. Let them get out there. Let them be themselves. Are they going to make bad choices? You bet they are. But they're going to learn from them. So let them learn. Let them get out there. Let's encourage them to go out there. Don't tell them what to and to not do. Tell them, think about the consequences and make an educated choice. Look, we have a tendency to try to point things in the direction we want them to go. Stop. Let them make their choices. We've screwed things up enough for ourselves. Let's get these kids to go and make their choices, and who knows? They may surprise us. So I
They always do.
Yeah, you know what? You've got some great kids that are working with you. I've talked to one of them in particular. I cannot wait to talk to some more. I'd love to see more of them on this show and coming on and talking to us, and I'd love to get their insights. But I know that they've got a program where they're going to go and work with the elderly, and I think that is the most beautiful thing in the world because they're going to have a chance to go and pay respects to those who have paved a path for them. And that is, again, so important. And it shows how much they care about this world.
Program that they came up with and designed and are designing themselves. That's what's key. It's not something that I'm doing. It's something where they were just like, hey, I wonder if we could do this. And they actually, and all I did was just say, hey, provide them the tools so they can understand the structure of how to do it. And then, but they're the ones that are actually implementing it, meeting. They're going to be the ones that's going to organize the community, organize everything as far as scheduling the people and whatever else needs to be done, coming up with the ideas, implementing those ideas. They're doing it themselves, so that's what's really cool about it. It's not the adults doing it. It's these teenagers that are 18, 19 years old that are 16 to 8 to 19 actually that are making this happen.
That is fantastic. Hey, we'd like to offer our show to you. If you would like to come on and talk to us, if you have anything to do with mental health or suicide ideation, do you have a path that you found that helped you through it? The QR code right above Patrick. Scan that QR code. Come on, be our guest. I really wanted to sing that song, but I don't know the words. So just instead of me singing, just going ahead and scan the QR code and come on. I'll do you a favor. I won't sing, but we would love to hear your story. And it's not just us who would love to hear your story. There are people out there who are suffering right now who need to hear your story. Scan the QR code, come and join us, and let's talk. Let's talk about this, and let's change lives. Patrick, why don't you go on ahead and introduce our guest, please?
Okay. I'll be honest with you. I was really looking forward to you singing some Beauty and the Beast. Disappointed, brother. Disappointed. So our guest today is LaShone Williams, and it's just been talking to her the last couple of weeks and just seeing her spirit of excellence and the things that she is doing with her company, the Verdant CRO. Like it is amazing what they are doing and trying to do for the community. They just started doing a podcast, putting a podcast out. These are all things she's going to be talking about today. But she's an amazing woman that's been on an amazing journey. And just the way life has taken her to be able to come back and help the community that she wants to help. And it's just been, these are things that affected me as a Black person, and my mom, and many countless people that I work with the inner city. And it's just really help that we need. So with no further ado, LaShone Williams, glad to have you on the show.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
LaShone, it's great to see you. It's as I said, you are so much more beautiful than your logo, even though it is a wonderful logo. But you came on briefly last week, and you were talking a lot about what you do, and I am so interested in getting into that because I think it's something that, I know for a fact it's something some of us have never thought of. And of course, this is coming from a white guy that didn't realize there was a problem. So, as smart as I like to think I am, I guess that's what I get for doing my own thinking, right? So, but why don't you tell us first a little bit about yourself, introduce yourself, because we would love to know what you do.
I love that. Thank you for asking. So, to introduce myself, I am LaShone Williams. My podcast, I go by LaShone O. I have been in clinical research over 25 years, uh, various um, various positions, from lead CRA to CTM to a project manager. But my love has been in the trenches as a senior CRA, clinical research associate, in the industry. And so the clinical research associates, their position is to actually go to the sites as we are testing the drug, the IP, investigational product. I go there to the sites where the doctors are administering the drugs to the patients after they sign consent to do it, and see if they have any adverse effects or what's happening in the system, making sure that we documenting it properly so that hopefully that particular drug can get approved by the FDA. I like, say a joke, um, that I wish I was on that trial, and I can't right now. It's not even coming up to me about the drug for the men. The men. What is that drug that
The
they?
Viagra, is that the one you're talking
Yes.
about?
I wish I was monitoring on that drug before it really got skyrocketed. But I'm just kidding. That's something that we do. We monitor those type of drugs. Uh, Everything that you take. Tylenol, anything that has to have gone through a clinical trial before it got approved. So that's what I do. That's who I am, as far as that is concerned. And then recently, a year, I mean, not even a year. I'm sorry, like December of 2023, my partners and I decided to launch our own company, and it's called Divergent CRO. And what we are trying to do and want to do is change the courses and somehow change the course in how clinical trials are being monitored and collecting the data for the clinical trials. And we wanted to make a difference on how we treat our employees and how they get the training to make sure that they're really getting proper training out there to get the data and to make sure the number one thing is that the patients are safe. And that's it.
And the funny thing about Viagra is it was created as a heart medicine,
Mm-hmm.
as a blood pressure medicine, right?
Right.
So,
And they found
and
another use.
they definitely found another use for it. I mean,
Yeah.
it is what it is, I guess. So, but
Rogaine was another drug. They had a first use for it, and then they found that Rogaine was good for helping with hair. So clinical trials is fascinating because it starts off at one thing, and then they can have branches for other different uses, and that is all determined on the actual data that we're collecting, and that is why I am very happy to be here in this position to bring the awareness of having diverse clinical trials, because we do have a lot of data on how can we say, the majority of the country, how it affects their system. And when I say that, and I just like, it's known that about 87% of the clinical trials have been driven by Caucasians, and particularly 67% by white males. So now we want to get a little mixture in there and have more marginalized people involved, and how is it affecting them, and what can we learn from that to actually help customize or help treat more people of color.
I think one of the things that we were just talking about is one of the reasons why what you do is so important. You test a drug, you see the reactions, you make sure that it works, and it's not killing people, and and it's actually helping people. the other thing is that it just, like I said, this was something that it never occurred to me that it happened. But you hear things in the news like how things like COVID affected one race over the other. And it would make
Hmm.
sense to me that we would concentrate more on certain people who are possibly highly affected. But we're not
Mhm.
doing that, are we?
It's not being done as much as we would like. In April 2022, the FDA released a guidelines to have or to encourage. We call them sponsor companies, biotechs and device companies to do more recruitment and retention of marginalized people. So it it's understood. We see that there's issues with not collecting a more diverse pool. And even the FDA has now stepped in a year ago, well, almost 2 years ago, with this guidelines to the biotechs and device saying, hey, we're taking this serious when we're looking at the drugs that you're submitting to us. We want to see how is it affecting the larger pool, and then how and what can we do about it.
Patrick?
No, that's well, you already know my thoughts on this right here. These are things that hit really, really close to home because, I see a lot of my community that we just don't have access. We have the best hospitals in the world actually centered right where our communities are at, and we just don't have access to it. We don't get into those trials. We don't even know about those trials, to be really honest. Um,
Absolutely.
and
Mhm.
so and then a lot of what the medical system is based on when it comes to especially for our people, it's severely outdated, and we're still operating by those things that actually have a lot of adverse effects to us. And I would dare to say, it's known. Just you just need people to do something about it. That's really what the I have a lot of opinions on this stuff, man. I'm gonna just be quiet and let her talk. So I have a question. I have a question for you.
Sure.
I have a question for you. So it's so with your title and the things and with the title that you gave us of what you do, can you explain to us a little bit more in detail the impact that has in what you do in the community and for your business actually?
The impact that it has, and you hit it on a nail, is just the lack of awareness. It is a lack of awareness. uh, so then we don't have information about what are the clinical trials that are affecting the rates of the issues that are affecting. I'm just going to speak on myself because I am a black woman. So the rates that affects diabetes. There's high incidences of fibroids in black women. There's a lot of high blood pressure issues. So of course, we have to look at the diet, we have to look at exercise, but then there's genetic factors that has to do with it. So there are clinical trials out there that can address some of these issues. And you're right, it was just not uh, being made aware. So I like to just say, as give a little short story, and I don't know if it's short or not, but
Yes,
and
please go ahead. This is your show.
thank you. But before I became a clinical research associate, I was in high school. I was in the Health Academy program in Oakland, California, and uh, I had crossed all my T's, dotted my I's. I was going to be a pediatrician. That's just what I was going to do. And I got into college and did all the work, uh, specialized, or my major was biology. And so that was great. Then graduated and took the MCATs and kind of bombed on that. So then got into a program, HBCU program at Howard. And it was great. for 2 weeks. And the reason why it was great for 2 weeks is because the first week, they wined and dined us. We looked at the beautiful campus, saw all of the wonderful things that they could give us and help us with the MCATs for the people who got taken into the program. And then the next week we had to go to the lab. And so we were there in the lab, and the moment that I stepped in and they revealed the cadaver to me, I passed out. And that was just it. That was my story. Doctor was off the table. So they gave me a plane ticket. I came home, applied for a records clerk or something at a biotech company. And I kept seeing, these people coming in and out, in and out. And I stopped them and asked, so what do you do? And I have to be honest, in and out, Caucasian people. And so I just hey, what do you do? Why are you here? Let me know what's going on. And someone was very kind enough to say that I am a clinical research associate. This is what we do. And I said, oh, so you must have to have a special degree for that or something. She's like, no, just a regular science degree, 4 years college. That was never, ever presented to me in high school. I didn't know about that, when I went off to this program at Howard. So it's just a lack of awareness. And it seems like to me sometimes gatekeeping of information. So I went and did what I had to do, read my books, figure out some of these things and apply to be a clinical research. And I've been in the industry for a very long time now. I just had an interview with a person, and he is an epidemiologist, and very smart guy. And I said, well, did you know that, he said, well, that the doctors have to contact me to know the percentage or the milliliters of a drug to give to a patient. I have to calculate those things, and then they cannot give the patient this if I don't approve of this. And I said, whoa. I said, so you could have been a medical monitor. And he said, what is that? I said, you're a doctor, a PhD, that we have in the biotech, there are doctors who does the protocols and tells the doctors what to do in terms of giving the drugs and how much to give. You're doing the same thing. He said, really? And I told him how much they made, and he's like, I never heard of that ever in my life. And so you just have to question why. And that's why I'm here, to have these serious and real discussions about bringing awareness to clinical research.
I got a question that I don't know if we can answer it, but it's something that you were talking about, diabetes. We already know that there are other ailments out there that are harder on people of color. Is there something genetic that we can look at to find out why these abnormalities, why are they picking on people of color? Is there a reason for this? Is what you do, could that really be something that teaches us why the people of color are dealing harder with some of these?
Well, the question is there genetic differences in all people? And the answer is yes. So for Black people, Mexican, Asians, all people, there are genetic differences. Therefore, that means there are differences in how we absorb medications, absorb anything that we're taking in our body, and some differences. And that is what we're now bringing awareness to, that we need more hard data of that to pull in of us to figure out what is it. So you have a patient who's diabetic, and they go I'm sure you hear, they go get their what is the diabetes medication? That's
Insulin.
metformin, right? Well, they know what's going on through the clinical trials, what happens and whatever for the general population, but not what happens when we are taking it and putting and absorbing in our body. I as because I don't have a medical degree, I cannot sit here and say exactly all the identifications of it, but I do know there's a variations of taking the test for diabetes, and like they said that the standard is 6 or 7. However, it's been proven for African Americans in literature, it's 8. Um, if it's an HAG or something, you know, the diabetes test that they take. I'm
A1C.
sorry, A1C, and that it is typically they're saying you need to be at a 6, but you'll see Black people come in and they're getting tested and they're 8, and they're like, oh my gosh, you're high, take this drug. And it's like genetically, we're okay. We can absorb at this rate. So it's those things that has to be flushed out. And another thing of lack of awareness, I think with the lack of awareness and non-transparency, there's not enough of us that we're seeing in clinical research. We're, when we go to the hospitals, when we go to the clinics, wherever, we don't see enough of us. And so therefore we can't trust, what's really happening. So it's not, so there's a lot of things that need to be addressed. And so I think, again, awareness starting right now, clinical research, clinical trials, there's a different path that if you don't go to be a doctor, there is a clinical research path, and it kind of mirrors each other. When I talk to elementary children, I said, think me as the nurse of biotech, as you have the nurse in the hospital. When you see a doctor, think about the doctor at the hospital when you see a medical monitor at the biotechs. So any position you want, you can do in clinical research too. And that needs to be known.
Who is responsible for sending people to the trials?
Who's responsible is the biotech companies who are testing the particular drugs and disease that they're indications that they're looking for. So they're responsible for coming up with the protocol, coming up with the informed consent, all of the regulations and whatnot that we need in place to be able to hand that to the medical facilities and the doctors who sign up to say, hey, I have these types of patients to put in the clinical trials. And then, so that's it. So the biotechs are the ones who drive the clinical trials, and then they hand off the protocol to the different facilities, the hospitals, the clinics, who say that, yeah, we have patients all the time that can do this particular trial.
Would it be impossible, and I know this might be difficult, but pie in the sky thinking here, maybe we have 3 white guys, 3 white women, 3 black men, 3 black women, 3 Indian men, 3 Indian women, 3 Chinese men, 3 Chinese women. That way we can see all across the races the reaction of this. Can't we see a day where this becomes standardized? It doesn't seem okay. Now this is coming from a moron. Okay, this doesn't seem like it would be a difficult thing to do.
Representation is power, brother. That's what it's about.
It doesn't seem, but again, the lack of awareness. That's the mistrust and the risk and benefits, the risks. There are benefits, but there's always a home drive on the risks those are the driving forces that stop a lot of people who to participate in clinical trials. And then when you don't see representation of yourself, it becomes questionable.
Okay, well, let me ask both of you this question then. What do we need to do to get that trust built up within the Black community?
Want me to take? I mean, I could say something.
Say it, man. Look,
Please.
we're here to.
I think he has to be more careful than I do. Brother, there's no answer that anybody really wants to hear. That's the truth of it. Like we're saying, representation is power, right? And so like, you know me, brother. You know, I'm just gonna just say how it is. The reason why you don't see people in those certain fields, right? And because there is gatekeeping to those kind of things, right? It just is what it is. There's gatekeeping to it. And then also, one of the things that I thought was the craziest, right, that I've seen is when you see people from all over the world. Like we have, like in Florida, one of the major clinics there is the Mayo Clinic, right? And like you might have like nurses, you'll have Black staff, but what you normally see is Indian doctors, white doctors, predominantly white doctors, Indian doctors, very few Asian doctors for the most part, but like that is like your norm. And then like to see a Black doctor, it's like I remember when I just got my surgery here for my gallbladder, and it was a Black lady, it was a Black surgeon that actually did my laparoscopic surgery. And it was really like almost like, okay, all right, I know I'm going to be taken care of, because the reason why I ended up in there in the first place, because the white doctor looked at me like I was a drug addict or something. And I was just like, hey, something's wrong. And the way he looked at me was like I was less than. And I know they have an issue with these certain things. I wouldn't say it was necessarily a racial thing. It's a class thing. And I wasn't able to get the help that I should have gotten, and it almost killed me. Like that negligence and the way that he saw me actually literally almost took my life. And so like there was something that was very, very, that took all the stress off the table for me when I saw was a Black lady doing I was on drugs, bro. I was so doped up. And when I saw her, I was just like, okay, I can go to sleep now. I was stressed out the whole time until that, you know? And so like, there's a real thing when it comes to that. Now, the question you asked is how can you solve it? That is, like you say, like I would say, that's something that there's no easy answer to it. It's something that has to be, first of all, people need to know it's an issue, it's a problem, which a lot of us, we don't want to believe it's an issue or a problem. Like a lot of times when I talk to my brothers and sisters about these kind of things, it's a very touchy subject, because it makes it feel like, oh, it's all about white people and it's all of our fault, which I don't believe at all. I don't subscribe to the white man did all these things to us kind of thing. I believe that, you know, right. I don't subscribe to that whatsoever. But I do believe that there are things that have been done that are still affecting other groups today, because this group is the one that has the most representation and ability and power as the majority, because whites are the majority, whether we want to believe it or not. That's what the majority is. So of course, a lot of things are going to be done from the lens and the viewpoint and the self-preservation of that people group. That's just a natural way of things. It's not a racist thing. It's just the natural way of how things work. But there's got to be something done where we can stop looking at it as a racial thing, and because that is the bigger issue. It's not a racial thing. We need to look at people. We need to look at people all the same, because we are the human race. The big thing that has been uh, a divisive thing is that, oh, it's this race, this race, this race, and we're all humans. We all be the same. But there are different. We come from different places, so genetic markers are different. DNA is different, but the underlying thing is the same. So you can't, but you can't treat everything like you would treat the one majority people group. Like my makeup is different. The way for me, when she's talking about the diabetes and A1C and metformin, when I first started taking metformin, it absolutely wrecked my body on a level that I can't describe. And like it like and but there was no other, there was like, there has to be more options than taking this drug that is actually like, I can't function, my gut's falling apart, like
Mhm.
like like my quality of life, as soon as they put me on that drug where I was kind of okay, like it declined rapidly. And
Mhm.
um and these are
Zach, I'm sorry. Go
all right,
ahead.
I'm sorry.
And did I interrupt in your flow of your speech? You had something to say. Sorry about
No,
that.
go ahead. I'm good.
No,
Yeah.
Zach, you had made a statement which is a very good one, and that was, and please don't apologize for it. You like, I I wasn't aware of this. I didn't know this is. That's not your fault. That's not, and you're living your life, and everybody's living their life, what they're doing. It's just, if it doesn't affect you, why would you know about it?
Hmm.
And so that is exactly why I really appreciate you having us on this. It's just really starting with awareness, and I believe, Patrick, it's not what Patrick said, and we're not trying to find fault or blame the human race. It's all about the human race and understanding the differences and appreciating that there are differences so we can help each other.
Yeah, and see, LaShawn, I greatly appreciate that. But the thing is that it does affect me because I have great friends like Patrick. I have new friends like you, who I am sick and tired of seeing people being treated different because, well, I've got news for everyone out there who wants to treat somebody a little bit differently. I'm different than you too. We're different. It's and I don't know, Patrick, how many times have I said this? If I meet somebody who's just like me, I'm going to hate that person. I'm I'm going to hate that person. It's like, get your own damn life. Get out of my shoes. They're for my flat feet, not yours. All right. We are different. We need to celebrate that diversity instead of this taking away from from each other. And
Right.
so, but yeah, it's hard to know what everybody goes through. I and and yeah, you're right. We do get caught up in the way things are, but I would really love to see this this stop because there's no reason for it. We need to take
Mhm.
care of each other. That's just it. We're all the same species. We're all screwed up. We're all good people. We've got our good, we've got our bad, and it doesn't matter. We just need to take care of each other, and that's why this is so frustrating to me. And I can, look, I know Patrick, and I can tell how much this affects him. And that's why having you on here is such a wonderful, wonderful thing because you're able to talk about this. I did want to bring something up here real quick because and I put the link in the chat. But there's a beautiful article about you.
Oh, yes, that's an article that Divergent Zero Partners did. Had submitted into the Black PR, and the HBCU press picked it up in their magazine or newsletter. And so basically, we are calling out students at HBCU. We would like to become a mentor as well as a training center for students who want to learn more about clinical research. If they have, so we're just saying there's options out there, and our part of our goal is to enroll uh, anyone who's looking into being a clinical researcher, a CTM. We do have those training programs and would love for them to be a part of that. Also, we're looking for possibly, any assistance to help with persons who are unable to pay for that training, but maybe help a little bit to ensure that they get the proper training. And it's not we're not trying to gouge anyone's pocket. It's very affordable, but there are some students who just can't do it, but they really would love to be a part of it. And so we're looking for a little bit of help in that as well.
Well, I did have to change the background real quick because this is not something we do very often, but I would like to introduce you in this little spot to a wonderful, wonderful program who does help the Black community get to college. I will introduce you later, but I'd like to play their little spot for you. The Marie Barney Boston Foundation. I don't know if you've ever heard of them, but if you haven't, I will introduce, because I think that there's such great chemistry that you can do together. She took over for her mother, and they're building that program to try to help encourage the Black community to continue their education. The great thing is that they're not
Awesome.
telling you that you have to go to a college. You can go to educational programs, driving truck, whatever it is. They just try to help people. And she is, and I'm going to tell you this, you cannot help but smile when you talk to Dr. Boston. You just can't. She is a smile in a bottle. She truly is. She is such a wonderful woman.
Well, I'd love to meet her.
I will make that introduction happen because I think that you two would be fantastic together. Patrick, did you? I know you had some more questions, so I'm going to shut up and let you go.
Oh yeah. Well, all right. So I don't know. I've been kind of listening to a lot of what you do. What are some of the like your I guess your favorite moments or your best moments that you have had in clinical researching, and can you describe that to us?
In short, I have to say, because right now, for about 13 to 15 years, I've been working in oncology. So one of my favorite moments I have to say, is that we saw that a particular drug was able to really extend the lives of the patients that were taking it. And there was one particular patient that, their family was around them. There was a lot of questions as if she was going to make it. However, this drug that she was taking, it did, and they extended her life over, like 4 or 5 years later. So the take home for me is every time that I can see that any patient can extend or the quality of their lives and extend it to be with their families and their friends and do something that, they had postponed and said, oh, I'll get to that. And now they're ready to get to it and do it, and they have that second wind and chance. That's what I look forward to seeing every time.
That's beautiful.
My next one is, all right, so how did you know, or when did you know that you were going to start this business, and what led to that?
I'm not going to sugarcoat it. The industry can be can be kind of rough. Uh, Not as compassionate as what we wish to see. And the partners and I wanted to change that perception, particularly when we're training and bringing other people into the industry. More compassion, more focus on health and wellness, making sure that they are they are really getting the training, but they're also making sure that their wellness is at tip-top shape. Uh, you know, it could be very challenging, and we want to change that perception and also be like a light, a company that shines light um, in this industry, and also to help. How can I say it? To help set the goals of the very critical thing of saving patients, and that's what we're here to do.
Hmm. I got two more, and then so it's just like, uh, who is it that you want to reach the most with this message?
Great question.
We would like to reach the young out there. I know science is not sexy. It's not a sexy thing. However, it's really a career path or something that we really need to help change and shift things around that's in the positive in all communities. So I would love to just reach the younger generation. And if I have to say the group in college where while they're thinking about what can we do, what do we want to do, we want to say there's options out there. And one of the options is a clinical research, and we would love to help um, guide you in that way.
Mm.
I'm going to let you get to your last one here in a second, Patrick. But what are some of the hurdles that you have with reaching the younger kids?
Yeah.
Well, we just started. Thank you very much for bringing the about the newsletter that the HBCU put us in the publication. So again, that's just lack of awareness, just getting ourselves out there, our brand out there, showing we've been on different TikTok, LinkedIn, we're on Twitter, X, so it's just we're getting ourselves out there. And I guess another one is, showing up on the podcast. Let's have conversations and discussions about research and how we can do better in the field and bring lack of awareness, bring some of those questions that are terrifying to ask, fear based, whatever it is, and we can address those on the podcast.
And when is your podcast? When does your podcast run? VUpodcast.com.
Well, Wednesday mornings, we're looking at between 6 a.m. the commute hours. So between 6 and 9 a.m. We'll every other Wednesday is that when we'll be producing the show. And yeah, that's about it right now. Stay tuned.
Okay, Patrick, you had one more?
I know. I'm just like, I really like the fact that you're going after the youth with this one, because like, who's gonna replace you? Like, you got your business, you're building it up. You're gonna have to have somebody carry the torch. That's just the nature of things, and then also just getting that representation into the field, where you're gonna have people that's going to be thinking about it with fresh eyes also, you know what I mean? Because like the medications that are coming out now are just a dime a dozen, and then like not just the medication, the technology, and that's where a lot of our gap is at. Sometimes the older we get, the more disconnected we come from we what happens to technology. I'm looking at you down here, and I should be looking at you right here. But so I'm like, but yeah, these are some of those things that are just a really big deal, and I'm really really glad that you're going after the youth. The last one I have is
Make it good.
You say you want to reach the youth. What is the impact that you want to leave behind with everything that you're doing? What is the impact that you want to have, where when everything's over, when everything's at this point, what did LaShone Williams leave behind?
That's a very, very good question. And the impact I would like to have is that I have dedicated myself to education and learning because it's very, very important that we understand that education and having a history and a record of what we do to be able to leave that behind for generations is important for us all. And so if I can just touch, you know, one person, I'm not looking at millions of people, just one person, and that they will take this challenge to go into clinical research as a medical monitor, as a clinical researcher, CTM, whatever it is, to do that, and then the next person will do something. And so we continue to build up awareness and our footprint in the industry. I would love to have that impact in the communities.
Would asking kids to volunteer with nonprofits? We've got one here in Colorado called Healing Warriors. Would asking kids to volunteer and see like the non-medical, we'll just say seeing like the non-opioid treatment of some of our veterans, is that a good example to set for them, that you see that it's a way to get them interested in the health field?
I do. Anything positive that will affect your communities, our communities, I think is excellent. I'm working with being more in contact. Is it Gen Z now? Where are we? We have millennials. We have just,
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
So we're kind of
right
in
now,
Gen.
we're touching right now. I'm sure what I'm touching is the parents of the Gen Zs. I'm sure they are the ones who are listening to this. And so what I'm hoping is that they can take this message and show it to their children and show it to their community. And then we can start building, because I know I'm not talking to them, but maybe if someone can, book some time with me and help me understand what can we do to make it more aware for them to come on and want to be a part of it. But
well, I really hope that somebody is hearing you and they can reach out to you at divergentcro.com. It's divergentcro.com or
diversity in clinical trials at gmail.com.
Okay.
I will put that in there.
I think this is, I really do. I appreciate this show. I appreciate everything that you've shared with us. I would love to invite you back whenever you would like to join us. I would love to have you come on and share any stories that you guys, any wins, any concerns. It doesn't matter. It doesn't always have to be a win. As you can see, it's not like I'm afraid of pushing buttons. I'm okay with doing that. So, but I like trying to wake people up. It needs to happen. So
thank you for opening this space for us to do it. I appreciate it.
Well, again, you're always welcome here on anything that we do. So, I really do. I will introduce you to Dr. Boston. I think that you guys will have a great time together. I really do. then again, like I said, if you don't have a great time with her, you don't have a pulse, because she is such a wonderful woman. But
Right.
and as are you, and I really think that this ought to be great. Um, I greatly appreciate your time, Patrick. Why
Thank
don't
you.
you lead us with what did you learn today as we get out of here?
Um, just for me, it's just it just excites me with what is possible with what you guys are doing. Like the more and more I keep hearing about it and learning more in more detail about what it is that you do, it's like, all right, like shoot. Like in my mindset, I'm like, it seems like you might need a recruiter, man. You know, and I'm just like, hey. So
I
um,
got you on the list.
so no, no, I'm being serious, but at the same time, I'm messing around seriously. So, but I really just the fact that how do we get our community to know more about what it is that you guys are doing and open up the door, the avenues of communication into our schools, into our colleges, for even I know it's so powerful when you can bring the team or yourself or anybody into a classroom and be able to um, really talk about it like from an adventurous point of view of what's going on and them being able to talk to a real life person. And so that's where my thought is at. Just like, how do we get that message into the schools and the colleges and online? And you talk about, when you want to impact the youth, um, like it just gets my mind churning, and I'm excited about that. I'm excited about what the possibilities will be with just simple conversations and networking and connections. What's going to happen in the future. Also, I just really want to learn a whole lot more about it. And because I'm connected to those communities, I would like to learn more about it. So how is it that I can actually practically help to open the doors, or as I'm going along doing the things I'm doing, see the opportunity for doors open for you guys to have more impact in what you're doing. So if I have, I would love my kid to be able to be a clinical researcher and not have to do all the doctor stuff and incur all the debt and make just as much money. That'd be awesome. And then help the planet, so that'd be cool, so a lot of possibilities.
And not pass out in front of a corpse.
Yeah. There's so much possibility that can happen. And so.
Yeah.
Oh, Zach, I thought you were going to be fair.
No,
Fair.
I am, because guess what?
I'm just kidding.
I could never do my dream job either, because I walk into Dairy Queen and they look at me and they say, go away. No.
Dream job. The taster of ice cream.
Oh, hell yeah. That's me right there. I would do that. I would do that every day. I am in a never-ending quest to make Dairy Queen one of the major food groups. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. Well, at least in my purple clouded world, it'll happen someday. So, it's what I try to do. But and I'm just gonna say this, in which, of course, in clinical trials, you're not gonna know who's in there with you. You're not gonna know who's also in the trial. It's right. They kind of keep that. But here's a message to everyone out there. Let's wake up to some things. Okay, if you see people being left out, if you see diversity not happening, let's speak up. It's time. This isn't. It's a ridiculous. This isn't. It's not doing anybody good for us not to be diverse. Nobody's winning anything if we're not working together. Yeah. Okay? Nobody can win if people are not included. So let's get together. Let's make sure we're watching out for each other and doing good together. It makes it so much easier. and it's going to make life a hell of a lot better. So if you see somewhere, someone out there not being included, speak up. Stop being afraid. Let's do this. Let's make sure. Look, as I said before, you are different than me, and that's a good thing. Let's make sure that we keep people included and call out people who are doing the wrong thing. LaShone, thank you so much. Would you
Thank
like to share
you.
anything with anybody before we go?
The only thing is that we have put, well, Divergent Zero has put on the YouTube. If you search YouTube Divergent Zero, that we are putting clinical terms on there, part 1 through 4, which teaches everyone the clinical terms and they understand what they are. That would be a first step to just know what the language is. I think that that would help.
Well, good luck.
Thank
And
you.
please know that you're always, again, you're always welcome here. You're always welcome to come and join us. If there's anything that we can do to help make sure this word continues to get out, please reach out. You're an email away. So, but I wish you the best of luck. I really do.
Okay.
Patrick, brother, I know that you're having a tough one. I know you're not feeling well. So please take care of yourself. And for everyone else out there, you've been watching Footprints Forward. And look, our goal is just to make sure everybody is aware of what's out there. Mental health and the stress of everyday life is difficult. There's no one solution. If we discuss things, we can find solutions for people's problems. Okay. But the truth of the matter is that we're all human. We need to take care of each other because, quite frankly, we're all we got. So please love somebody out there because somebody out here loves you. No one needs to go it alone when we all come together. We'll see you next week when gonna get a little hot. Gonna get a little hot because we are going to be talking about religion next week. And it's going to be an interesting show. We invite you to join us. If you'd like to join us, the QR code there in Patrick's Hollywood Squares box is a way that you can join us and have your say. We're looking for people who can have intelligent, responsible conversations and not blow up when something gets said that they don't like. But we invite you to join us next week as we bring in the difficulty we're having with from religion to religion or religion within itself. Again, for Patrick, for LaShone, I'm Zach Clayton. We'll see you next week right here on Footprints Forward.